are again. Are you all right? I really hope you are feeling good today. For those who have never watched this before, sit down, relax. Maybe you can grab yourself a drink and maybe a little snack. Because there is nothing to fear, it's only the internet. Don't worry too much about it. Here we go then. Yes, we are all here again. Once more, for those who are familiar with this, you know what's coming next. Here we go again. Yes, it's another English Addict live from the birthplace of the English language, which just happens to be, oh my goodness, I don't believe it. It's England. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you feeling happy today? I hope so, because it is a new month. Yes, we are now into the second day of May. I hope this month has been good so far. I'm not too bad. Thank you very much for joining me today. Yes, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Duncan, Mr. Duncan. There are other names that people call me, but sadly, because of the terms of service of YouTube, I can't use any of them. And I talk about English. I've been doing this for ever such a long time indeed. How many years have you been teaching on YouTube? Thank you for asking. Nearly 15 years. Even I'm so shocked. I can't get the words out. 15 years, can you believe it? I can't believe it anyway. Hello to everybody. Nice to see you here. The introduction is out of the way. And if you like English, if you are a fan of the English language, well, guess what? You are in the right place at this moment, because this is English Addict. For all those who can't get enough of that lovely language we call English. Oh, by the way, the weather is quite nice today. I was thinking about going outside to do my live stream, but we might be getting some rain later on, so I decided not to. Today we are in the studio, but the garden is looking rather nice. You can see the beautiful lilac tree. And also into the distance you can see the hills and some of the other villages around the area in which I live, which is Much Wenlock in Shropshire. And if we have a look in the garden, oh, Mr. Steve has gone. Oh, he was there a few moments ago. Steve was in the garden doing some work, but he's vanished. Isn't that typical? That is so typical of Mr. Steve. He was there just a few moments ago. He was doing some digging. He's been very busy in the garden. And can I just let you in? Can I let you in on a secret? Don't tell anyone else. This is our secret, okay? We are going to be doing something very big in the garden over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Something big. We are moving a certain part of the garden from one place to another. Can you guess what it is? So we are going to be moving something. Now, at the moment, we're not sure if we are going to get a builder to come and do this, or if we are going to try and do it ourselves. So yes, so that is something. I'm not going to give you the exact thing that we are doing, so I would like you to guess. We are going to be moving something that is very big in the garden. But can you guess what it is? Well, we have made it to the end of another week. Another weekend is coming to an end, except some of you might also be having a public holiday because, of course, May the 1st is May Day. A lot of people celebrate May Day, Workers' Day. And here in the UK, well, here in England, I definitely know here in England, we are actually having a very long weekend. So tomorrow is a public holiday, and also Mr. Steve is having an extra day off as well. So he will be taking Tuesday off. So we have a lovely long weekend here in England to enjoy, and I hope you are enjoying your weekend as well, because it's Sunday. Yes, we are here again, and I'm feeling rather good today. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm feeling good, because last night I had a horrible nightmare. Now, most of my dreams recently have been nice and lovely, but last night I had a horrible nightmare. I won't tell you what it is, because it really was a horrible nightmare. But I woke up this morning feeling calm. I woke up this morning feeling very relaxed. Isn't that strange? So even though I had a nightmare last night, I woke up this morning feeling very calm. So perhaps, and this is my theory, maybe my subconscious brain, the brain that is tucked away deep inside your skull, perhaps my subconscious was trying to work something out. And quite often, the things that are on your mind sometimes come out in your dream. Can I say a big thank you, by the way? Oh, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for all of your lovely messages in response to my mum's birthday. Thank you very much to all my lovely Facebook friends. And my mum had a lovely day. And yes, I did have a chat with my mum as well on Thursday. It was her birthday. 80. 80. I can't believe it. My mum is 80. And for those who know, she is at the moment being taken care of because of various things. We all know what they are, don't we? I think so. Welcome anyway. I hope you are having a good weekend wherever you are in the world. We have Mr. Steve coming up later on. Yes, Steve will be here a little bit later on, so don't worry. He will be on his way. Also, thank you very much for all of your kind words, not only about my mother, but also about my lessons. Thank you. I love it. I love reading your comments, and I like looking at all of the responses that you make towards me. Thank you very much. I know that not everyone likes me. Isn't that strange? Have you ever wondered why, when you meet someone for the first time, a complete stranger, sometimes you know that you will not like them. You know that you will never ever like that person, ever. However nice they are, however kind they behave, or however nice they appear to be, you will never like them. What is that? And I think that is the impression some people have when they see me, you see. So when they click on my live streams and they see me for the first time, some people will immediately say, oh my goodness, who is that idiot? Who is that idiot talking to me now on my screen? I don't like him. And then they click away. and they never watch me ever again. However, some people see me and they say, oh, that's fascinating, that's interesting. Ooh, what's his story? Isn't it strange, though, how those things can happen? Oh, thank you very much to the live chat as well. I suppose I should say congratulations to Partridge Eves. Very nice. You have a very fast finger this week because you are first on today's live chat. I can hardly contain my excitement. Thank you very much. Also, we have Vitas. Intelligent is here as well. Also, Belarusia. Nice to see you here today. And we have... who else is here today? We have Valentin. We also have Vitas. Unfortunately, Vitas, your finger is not very fast this week. Perhaps you have been using your finger too much. But what have you been using your finger for? Why is your finger so tired? Maybe you can let us know. Also, we have hello, Sora. Also, we have Beatrice. And we also have Zudzika is here as well. Nice to see you here. And also we have Wafe, Christina. It's so nice to see you all here again. Tomek is here as well. Hello, Tomek. Yes, we will have the sentence game coming a little bit later on today. A lot of people saying, you look very smart today. Well, this is what I normally wear. I normally have my cap. I normally wear my white shirt and also my tie as well. Can I just tell you something? Many years ago, if you wore your tie like this, very loose, so as you can see, I never pull my tie all the way up because I find it too tight around my neck. But years ago, many years ago, if you wore your tie like this, it was seen as being quite unacceptable socially. If you ever went somewhere and your tie was loose, people would often look at you as if you'd lost your mind. They would think, oh, what happened to him? Has he been sleeping in the street? But these days, of course, this type of appearance is acceptable. So yes, I always like to wear my tie loose. And then, of course, the blood can travel from my heart to my brain because, to be honest with you, sometimes I feel as if the blood is not getting all the way to my brain. So I do need to have my tie nice and loose. But many years ago, this was not acceptable. People would not accept this. If you went to a job interview and your tie was loose, there would be a good chance that you would not get the job. Yeah, that's how serious it is. Lovely to see you here today. Thank you very much for being with me today. We are talking about impulse today. A human thing. It is a human trait. Oh, I like that word. The word trait means something a person might do. Maybe part of their character. Maybe something that they do as part of their characteristic. So a person's trait. And quite a lot of us, and it's true, and I'm not saying that I'm not impulsive, because I am. Sometimes I can do things without thinking too much about it. So yes, today we are talking about the action or the feeling or the occurrence of impulse. That coming a little bit later on. In a few moments, I'm going to show you something lovely, something that happened the other night. Mr. Steve and myself in the evening, because at the moment the weather is really nice, we decided to go for a lovely walk. And on the walk, we came across a field with sheep and lambs. And most of the animals were very far away. They weren't near us. But when they saw us, they all came over. They came running towards us in a very excited state. And I decided to film some of this on my mobile phone. So in a few moments I will be showing you what I filmed the other night when we went for a walk. And it was lovely. It was very magical. Not only the sight of the animals, but also the sound as well. It was beautiful, a very wonderful moment of time. Made better by the fact that the sun was also going down behind us. So it was one of those magical times of the day when everything was just perfect. And all these lovely little lambs came running over to say hello. Thank you, Daisy. Daisy makes a very good observation. You are the kind of person you either love or hate. Anyway, you are a character, really. Thank you, Daisy. I know this, you see. I know this. I know that there are people, and I'm not just talking about here on the internet. I'm talking about in life, generally. Some people, they don't like me. They meet me and they say, I don't like that person. I don't like him. I don't know why, but I just don't. And it happens to all of us. All of us at some point will meet someone who we take an instant dislike to. We take a dislike to that person. And whatever that person does, no matter how hard they try, you will never like them. And you know you won't. Isn't it strange? Maybe I should not be drawing attention to this, because maybe at the start of this live stream, maybe you did like me, but maybe now you don't. Especially last week. We were being rather rude last week, weren't we? Mr. Steve especially. About people riding around on their bicycles in their very tight lycra. Or should I say, very overweight people. And can I just say, I don't mind or care what you wear or where you wear it. But sometimes when you see things that you weren't expecting, it can be quite a shock. You might go, I don't know what to do. Should I look at it or should I look away? But part of you wants to stare. Part of you wants to look at the thing. And another part of you wants to look away. Very strange, isn't it? Yes, we are talking about some very deep subjects today. Impulse. Impulse. To do something without thinking about it. We all do it. I do it. And I would imagine that you do it as well. Let's take a look at something I filmed the other night. Oh, I hope this isn't too boring, but this is something I filmed with Mr. Steve when we were taking a walk the other night. And you will see there is a little bit of text at the beginning explaining what was happening. But you will see some lovely nature, you will hear some lovely sounds, and also you will see some lovely, cute little lambs playing around and frolicking in the field. Well, wasn't that lovely? Did you enjoy that? A little moment of time that occurred the other night when we were out walking. I always take my phone with me. However, the other night I realised, unfortunately, I only had a little bit of battery power left in my phone. But fortunately, I was able to film around about 3 or 4 minutes of the lambs and also the sheep. But the strange thing about that particular moment is the fact that they all came over to us. Normally, lambs and sheep are quite shy and they will stay away from humans or things that they are unsure of. As you know, sheep normally are fairly shy and timid, and quite often they will stay together all the time. So I thought it was very interesting that the sheep actually came over to us. They came right over, and even the lambs came right over to where we were standing, which was quite unusual. They are lovely, yes, and the one thing I do like is the sound of the sheep as well. The beautiful sounds of nature, the birds singing. Maybe you can hear sometimes you can hear the pheasants around here, especially because the pheasants at the moment are starting to pair up. So the male pheasant at the moment is looking for female pheasants. So you will often hear the sounds of the pheasants, the male pheasant, calling around here as well. Apparently it is Easter today. I didn't know that, but in certain parts of the world, because of the difference in the calendars, it is Easter in Russia. Thank you, Lena, for letting me know. Can I say also Happy Easter to Intelligent, or should I say Lilia? Happy Easter to you as well. We are talking about impulse today, things that you do without thinking too much about it. Also, something else I'm doing today, I'm going to test Mr. Steve. I'm going to give him a little test. I'm going to show him some photographs of famous people. Quite a lot of these people will be current people who are famous. And I'm going to ask Mr. Steve to guess who they are and see if he knows who they are. A little bit later on, we have Mr. Steve. But right now, it's time to take a look at an excerpt from one of my full English lessons. This is one of my more recent full English lessons. You will see some excerpts from Full English number 31. And then after that, Mr. Steve will be here in the studio. He's feeling very happy today because he has 4 days holiday. He's feeling in the pink and over the moon. Hickory dickory dock, I'm holding one grey sock. In the other there are two, and both of them are blue. Hickory dickory dock. Did you enjoy my little poem? Welcome everyone to another Full English video lesson coming to you from England, which happens to be the birthplace of Cadbury chocolate, Bakewell tart, Yorkshire pudding, and my favourite, Spotted Dick. And of course the English language, which is the reason we are all here today. So, take a deep breath, open a few windows, make a nice hot beverage, because today's Full English lesson is going to start right now. You may have noticed that I love English. Some of my favourite English words happen to be the smallest and the most commonly used. A good example is the word off. It seems like such a simple word, yet it is often used on a daily basis in so many ways. To cancel something can be described as being off. Sorry girls, the football match is off. You can call something off. We had to call off the outdoor concert because of the rain. To have a free day away from work can be described as being off. I won't see you tomorrow as it's my off day. You are having the day off. Another use of off day is when things keep going wrong or when your mood is not good during a certain period of time. Sorry for all the mistakes, guys. I'm having a bit of an off day. To make your way out of a place or to announce your departure, you can say that you are off. Okay guys, it's 5 o'clock. See you tomorrow. I'm off. If something that is perishable has gone past its best, then we can say that it is off. Don't drink that milk. It's off. This salmon smells awful. I think it's off. If something has been disconnected from its power source, we can say that it is off. The TV isn't broken, it's off. Talking of which, I'm off over there. It's time to do the next sequence. It's strange how some words can find themselves together in English phrases. A good example of this is the phrase love-hate. These words have opposite meanings. However, they do go together as a description of a certain type of relationship. I am talking about a love-hate relationship. In society, a love-hate relationship describes a partnership that involves both fondness and hatred. A tumultuous or turbulent relationship between two people can be described as love-hate. We had a terrible fight last night, but today we made up and are having a meal together tonight. You might feel that this relationship is based on love-hate, especially if the arguments occur often. A long-term relationship might become unstable due to a hopeless feeling of routine and familiarity. The couple might become bitter and resentful, which results in the up and down nature of the relationship. A love-hate relationship can exist in other places. If you love your job but it does not pay very well, you might have a love-hate relationship with it. You might have a love-hate relationship with your boss. There are some good days and some bad. You have mixed feelings. You have the feeling of both love and hate. What do you want and what do you need? If you want too much, can we call this greed? Do you have more than you need, or is it enough? Perhaps you have nothing. Sometimes life can be tough. There is a fine difference between the things you want and the things you need. To want is to desire. It is an urge to satisfy that desire. To need is the instinctive response to nature's call for survival. It's the need to survive. What is necessary to survive is your need. The obvious things needed for survival are food and water. They are your basic needs. Without these, you will not survive for long. Of course, want can be classified as need too. However, we often see want as a more selfish emotion. I need food. I want a nice new car to show my neighbour. Furthermore, the dilemma of what money is creates quite a paradox. We need money to buy food, but we also want money to support a comfortable and some might say wasteful lifestyle. Want is often seen as a selfish emotion. Need comes from your basic necessities. Want comes from the things that will make you feel better as a person. Need comes from the basic survival instinct to make it through the day without starving to death. Need and want might have similar definitions, but they are often seen as belonging to very different urges. What is a split infinitive? Is it painful? Will it leave a scar? Well, first of all, having a split infinitive is not an injury, although it does sound like one. In English grammar, we name a certain grammar error as a split infinitive. An infinitive in English grammar is the use of the word to with a verb. While there are no grammar rules that prohibit split infinitives, many English experts strongly disapprove of them. An example of a split infinitive is the classic, to boldly go where no man has gone before. The word boldly and go should be the other way round. It should read, to go boldly where no man has gone before. In writing, this looks more dramatic, but when spoken, the split infinitive sounds better. So while the use of a split infinitive is technically incorrect, you might only find the most pedantic English teachers picking you up on it. To pick someone up on something is to correct them by pointing out their mistake. There it was, one of my full English lessons, some lovely, fluffy excerpts. I like a few excerpts now and again to give you an idea of the sort of thing I do here on YouTube. Yes, it is English Addict coming to you live from the birthplace of English, which just happens to be England.
Hello, Mr. Duncan. Hello, lovely viewers, part of Mr. Duncan's community on his live English stream.
Yes.
And it's wonderful to be here again. I heard you talking about split infinitives.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan, I had one of those the other day after a very difficult bowel movement.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to see that we are starting off with some lovely information about Mr. Steve's bowels. You know what a split infinitive is?
I've no idea.
Well, have you ever heard the famous phrase from Star Trek?
Oh, is it about infinity of the universe?
No.
And somehow splitting that into two.
It's nothing to do with
the
that.
The universe splitting into many different parts and many different universes splitting off from it. Is that what it means, Mr. Duncan?
In Star Trek, they say to boldly go.
Yes.
That is a very good example of a split infinitive. What you're supposed to say is to go boldly. To go boldly where no man has gone before. But what they say is to boldly go where no man has gone before. So you don't say that. That's a split infinitive.
I'm going to boldly go out into the garden.
You know, some
and do
people
some digging.
in some countries, you can get locked up for splitting your infinitive in public.
Sounds very painful, Mr. Duncan.
Anyway, Mr. Steve, nice to see you here. Steve is in a very good mood because he has a long one.
Pardon?
Don't you? He
What?
has a very long one.
Oh, you mean holiday?
Yes.
Break from work.
Yes.
Because it's bank holiday tomorrow. And of course, the weather forecast is atrocious.
Yes. So
Atrocious.
for some people, by the way,
Just thought I'd slip a new word in.
for some people, it's Easter weekend.
Yes, I saw that. I'm very jealous because it means chocolate in Russia. Probably. Maybe we should hop across. Don't know whether we can under the current rules
I don't-
around coronavirus, but we could go there, have another Easter. Maybe they're selling hot crust buns in Russia, which we can't get here anymore.
No.
Do you have spicy hot cross buns in Russia right now, available from your local bakery?
Yes.
Because we can't get them here anymore. They're gone until next April.
We have to wait. we have to wait until next year for our hot crust buns. So-
Unless I make them myself.
and of course, it is May Day. Yesterday was May Day for all of the workers. And that's the reason why we can have a long weekend, you see, because of May Day. So Steve has tomorrow off. It is a public holiday here. And also you are taking Tuesday off as well.
That was a gamble.
I think, Steve, you are maybe considering going into the garden.
Yes, I took a gamble. I looked at the long-range weather forecast or forecast,
Okay.
depending on. Well, I'm just, this is English. And I thought, is it because you don't want to take extra days off on holiday if you want to go outside and you think it might be bad weather? So I looked at the long-range weather forecast last Thursday and took a punt, which means take a bet,
Yeah.
that the weather would be good on Tuesday and I would be able to go into the garden. Now, Monday, tomorrow, is going to be rain most of the day, but Tuesday looks okay. But I did say to you, if we don't go into the garden, maybe I can persuade you, Mr. Duncan, to start decorating
We both
various parts of the house inside.
look. We haven't even put the Christmas decorations into the loft yet.
True.
It is true. We have boxes at the bottom of the stairs where all of the Christmas decorations are now being kept. But they are not supposed to be there. They are supposed to be in the loft, up in the attic. So maybe that is something we can do tomorrow whilst the rain is falling and pouring. Because, of course, it is normal when we have a public holiday, it always rains.
Usually it does, and it certainly is following that tradition tomorrow.
Yes.
Palmyra asks about the May Day bank holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you just alluded to that.
Yes, I just mentioned that.
That it's to do with what?
Well, it's to do with the workers, the rising of the workers and giving workers their day off from a revolution point of view. So it depends on what part of the world you actually live in. In this part of the world, it isn't such a big thing. But if you live in other parts of the world, then you will find that Workers' Day is a big thing. It is a very big thing, May Day.
Saturino says that she prefers a banana split to an infinitive split, and that hasn't. She's very cleverly rearranged the word split infinitive around into infinitive split. Is that itself a split infinitive?
It could be, but I don't think it actually is.
I don't know the rules around that because when you grow up in your own country and you learn your own language, you don't really learn it in a technical way.
We don't.
You just pick it up from your parents.
Yes.
So you don't learn about split infinitives and verbs and adverbs and all that sort of thing.
Didn't you learn that at school?
Well, probably, but you just sort of know how to speak it because you pick it up from
Yeah.
friends, family, people around you.
Yeah.
But
That
when
is-
you're learning a language,
Yes.
of course, you want to know the rules.
That is what we always say about teaching English, because if you are a native English speaker, you all you have to do is actually pick the language up during your life. However, if you are learning English as a second language, you must study it as if you are studying one of the big subjects like science or something else very similar to that, you see. So all we have to do in our lives is just live, and we pick up the English language as we grow up because it's always around us. However, if you are learning English as a second language, quite often you have to go into the details of how English is used.
You have to know the rules. Like, yes, you have to know the rules, but you don't need to know those when you're picking the language up. You just need to know how to pronounce words properly and which words go where in what sentences, etc.
Yes.
And you don't really pick up rules. You just hope that your parents have taught you correctly in terms of grammar. And then you don't know why you do things in your own language. You don't know why you do things. You don't remember ever learning it, but you just know that that's the correct way to do it.
Yes, I think it's the same. It's the same with all native languages. So whether you speak French or German or Spanish or think of another language, but maybe Vietnamese, maybe Chinese, because you speak that language all the time and you hear that language all the time from your childhood.
Of course, written language is different.
Writing is always different. Yes,
You do learn in school
Yes.
how to write correctly, spell. Because you can speak a language, you can be very good at speaking a language, but you might not be able to actually write it down.
Yes.
Or the other way round.
Yes.
You might have learned how to write a language, but not how to pronounce it. And you came across that a lot in China, didn't
That's
you?
it. And it is very, well, you might be surprised to find out, Steve, how many people who use English as their first language are illiterate to a certain degree. So when we say illiterate, they can speak, but they have difficulty reading and writing. So you might be surprised. Many people leaving school now, and this is something that was reported a lot here in the UK a couple of years ago. How many young people are leaving school and they can use English, but they can't write it or spell very well. It's quite shocking, actually.
Yes, but yes, because everyone's spending too much time on social media and not enough time on the classics, as we say.
Yes, and the other
Reading,
thing,
writing, arithmetic.
yes, the other thing, of course, is the fact that the text messages are often used with abbreviations. So most people know how to spell using abbreviations in their text messages, but they're not very good at actually writing or spelling the complete words.
Yes, this has caught me out at work because a lot of like Word, if you use a Word program and other programs at work where you're writing memos or letters to colleagues at work or maybe customers, then what you use tends to correct your spelling, doesn't it? So on if you're using the internet to write emails, if you're using emails, it often will tell you if you've made a mistake. But sometimes you go onto a different site, and it's not necessarily the spell check function
Yes.
isn't there or it's not working,
Yes.
and you suddenly don't realise because it's not telling you that you've made a mistake. And then you can send silly emails to people with lots of mistakes.
Yes, that's it. And of course, a lot of computer programs nowadays have autocorrect as well, which can be a good thing, but it also can cause problems if it gives you the wrong word in the autocorrect. Sometimes the autocorrect function can lead to very rude words being actually sent
True.
by accident. So you are writing a word, and autocorrect will put it into the word or spell the word correctly. However, the word it changes might become a rude word. So that does happen. You have to be careful when you are using autocorrect, when you are typing messages. We are talking about impulse today.
Impulse.
Impulse. It's a great word. I like this word, impulse. So I thought briefly we would have a quick look at what it all means. What does it all mean? When we say impulse, what are we actually talking about? Well, first of all, I suppose we could ask the question whether you are an impulsive person, but we will do that in a few moments. Instead, here we go, impulse words. So we will get through these very quickly because we have Flags of the World coming at 3 o'clock. Are you excited? I think so.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I have a feeling Mr. Steve is not excited.
I'm excited to see what new flags you've put on there this week, Mr. Duncan.
There are no new flags because I haven't been asked for any. So I haven't put any new flags on this week. I don't have to. Isn't that nice? Here we go then. Without any more. If I can find it. There it is. So we have impulse words. First of all, the word impulse means a sudden urge to act, quite often without reflection. And by that we mean thought. So you do something suddenly without putting much thought into the thing you are doing. And there are many examples of doing that, doing something on impulse.
Good or bad. Could be good or could be bad.
Yes. The impulse to do something occurs suddenly. So we often see impulse as a thing that happens suddenly. We do something without thinking very much, but also we do it quite suddenly, quite quickly, without thinking too much about it. To feel impelled to do something. It's an interesting word. Now, when I first wrote this word this morning, I thought it was wrong because it didn't look right. It doesn't look like a correct word, but it is, to impel. So to feel almost like as if there is a force pulling you to do something. And we've all been there. So sometimes impulse, doing something on impulse, can be the feeling of feeling impelled to do something suddenly. Ooh. To do something without much thought. So again, impulse can be when you do something, but you don't think too much about it at the time. Maybe later, perhaps later you have a lot of time to think about the thing you've done, but impulse, you do it without thinking. And there will be some examples coming up in a moment.
Hidden forces are driving you.
Yes.
And do you act on those often desires or impulses, or do you resist them?
Yes. Sometimes it is.
Depends on your character, doesn't it?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to resist the impulse. Here's another one. Oh, I think I missed the last one, didn't I? Beg your pardon. To do something on the spur of the moment. So to do something on the spur of the moment, again, is to do something on impulse. You are not thinking too much about it. You will suddenly decide to do something. Maybe you look out your window in the morning, Steve, and the sun is out. Suddenly you think, oh, I'm going outside for a walk. So
Yes.
that is an impulse. To do something on the spur of the moment. You didn't plan to do it,
Yes,
but now you are.
that's it. You could wake up in the morning and think, oh, it's raining today. I'm going to start doing some decorating inside.
Mm-hmm.
You hadn't planned to do it, but that's probably not a brilliant example.
That's not a good
example. Lots of examples coming up, I'm sure.
Yes. To do something without any preparation at all. So
I might suddenly punch you in the face
that's it. You do it
without warning
on impulse.
because I felt like I wanted to.
That's it.
Which I often do.
Yes.
If I suddenly punch Mr. Duncan in the face, I hadn't planned to do it. I suddenly felt this urge, this impulse to do it, which I often do, But I resist normally.
Yeah.
Today could be different.
Maybe this is the day where you get to see Mr. Steve punch me.
Well, I have acted on impulse once before.
Okay.
When I took your hat off on a live stream.
I didn't like that.
You didn't like that. You see, that was an impulse, and it ended not particularly well because you didn't like it. It was it was not nice for you.
Okay, Steve, we've got a minute.
Okay.
A person who is impulsive. So you can describe the person as impulsive if they are prone to doing things suddenly. So the word prone means you are liable or likely to do something. You are prone to that particular habit or that particular behaviour. An impulsive person is prone to doing things suddenly. So it can be a part of a person's characteristic, their character.
Would you say that perhaps impulsive people are reacting to urges and desires and wants and needs within themselves, whatever that might be? It could be shopping, it could be food, drink, it could be lovers, it could be...
You're kind of taking away everything that I'm doing.
Right, well, I'm just sort of, leading up to it.
Yes. We have flags of the world now, Steve.
Oh!
So we don't have time for all of that.
Are we coming back to it afterwards?
We will be coming back to that because now you know what's happening now. It is just after 3 o'clock here in the UK. I don't know what time it is where you are because we are not there. It's time to take a look at those lovely fluttering, flapping flags of the world. Oh, I love those flags of the world. How many flags are there in the world? I would say about 160, maybe 200, maybe 300. Because imagine all the different types of flags there are.
Well, if you put them all on, then your entire English lesson could live stream could turn into just flags of the world.
Yes, I feel
We
like
won't do that.
I feel like I'm turning into Sheldon Cooper from from
Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory. Yes,
You're surprised I knew that, aren't you?
because he had a show called Flags of the World, you see, or Fun with Flags. So it's something very similar. Maybe we will be accused of stealing the idea.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Tomek makes a good point about impulses. He
Hello.
says
Hello, Tomek.
the front part of your brain is hijacked by emotions, cuts out reasoning, and you act on impulse.
Yes.
Yes, I think they say that this frontal part of your brain is the bit that's there for sort of reasoning and
Yes.
intellect.
Your
and
lobes.
your sort of the sort of primitive part of your brain is trying to send out all these sort of desires and wants and needs, and hijacks your reasoning and
Yes.
your sort of thinking that makes you do things in the right way. Mind you, sometimes an impulse could be a good thing.
Yes, maybe you see a fire. There's a house on fire. So what do? Do you walk past?
Yes, you do.
Like Steve? I suppose it depends who is inside the house, but
Yes, you might. You see, this can result in people dying. You see somebody falling into a river or a lake, and on impulse you decide that you're going to rescue them. And this happened recently in this country.
yeah, it's a very
And
very sad story.
You save them, but you die because you drown, because you probably weren't as good a swimmer as you thought you were. You acted on impulse, probably all for the right reasons, but it killed you. So people go into burning buildings to save people on impulse. I mean, that's an extreme example, obviously, but other impulses could be things like you might decide, you could be sitting there watching the television and suddenly you decide, oh, I want some biscuits.
Okay.
And then you go into the kitchen and you get a load of biscuits and cakes and sweets, and then you eat them all down. And part of your brain was saying, come on, feed yourself, make yourself feel better. You'll feel better if you have those sweets and those cakes and that chocolate. And you weren't thinking about it, but it suddenly came into your mind. You acted on impulse.
Impulse.
Whereas if you thought about it, you might think, well, that's probably not a good idea
Yes.
at 11 o'clock at night.
Well, you could split a person's actions into two things, rational and irrational. So rational normally involves having some thought about the thing. Irrational can quite often be used when we are talking about things you do not put much thought
Lewis
into.
says, hello, Lewis.
Oh, Lewis Mendez.
Says, according to Google, there are 195 countries in the world.
But how many flags are there?
Well, we assume they all have flags, but they might not. I would imagine most countries would want a flag
Yes.
because you want to tell all your citizens, look, this is us. Identify with this flag. Be a proper citizen. And also to tell everybody else in the world.
But of course, we are forgetting something else as well. A tradition here in the UK or in England and Britain is to have something called a coat of arms, which would often be carried in the form of a flag, especially when you went into battle or into war. So the flags can actually be used in many different ways. You can have warning flags. You can have flags that are giving you some sort of information or maybe leading you in a certain direction, depending on the colour of the flag. So actually flags are probably more common than we realise.
So when you say flags of the world, you haven't said countries, flags of the countries of the world.
No, flags of the world.
So if it's flags of the world, it could be any flag. So there probably are thousands of flags that aren't associated with a particular country.
No.
You could go into... Yeah, but we won't do that anyway.
Anyway, we're talking about impulse words. So an impulsive person, this is what we mentioned before the break, is prone to doing things suddenly.
Unpredictably.
So maybe let's look at some examples. perhaps impulse buying. Now, I think this one is very common. I think we've all done it. I've done it. I know Steve has done it. There are many things that Steve has bought.
Rarely.
There is something that is sitting in the garage here.
I am not an impulse buyer by nature.
But
I'm not an impulse buyer.
But I think sometimes Steve buys things and then regrets it a little bit.
I always think about everything I buy.
Yes.
Takes me ages to make decisions, and usually I end up not making any decision at all, even over simple things. I mean, if I wanted to buy, for example, a new washing machine,
Okay.
I would not just go out and buy a washing machine.
No.
I would spend hours on the internet
Yes.
finding out which was the best model. Is it going to fit exactly?
Well, that's
You know,
important.
how many clothes can you put in? What's the energy consumption? I'd go into all those details.
Yes.
So I'm not an impulse buyer at all, Mr. Duncan.
Will it get the skid marks off Mr. Steve's underpants? You see, these are very important things.
I don't have any, Mr. Duncan, because I'm very clean.
So impulse buying, especially these days, and I think also especially during lockdown, this period of time, I think more people may have been impulse buying. They've been going on the internet, onto Amazon or eBay or any other of those wonderful shopping sites. And maybe you have been doing it just to pass the time away, just to buy something, just to make yourself happy, because there is something nice about having a delivery driver come to your house with a big box. So impulse buying.
Yes.
And you can see here, Steve, also we have making a snap decision. You do something very quickly. You do something without thinking. You were not going to do it. It was not in your mind. And then suddenly you are doing it. It is a snap decision. You are making a decision or a choice
Like that.
without much thought.
Very quickly.
Yes.
And sometimes you think that you're probably using your sort of inbuilt sort of intuition to make decisions on things.
Or judgment.
Or judgments. Sometimes you have to make quick decisions. But yes, impulse buying. So you might, another example would be you went out to buy a new pair of trousers.
Okay.
So you've got in your mind, I need a new pair of jeans. That's what I'm going to go out and buy. I mean, I wouldn't do that. But let's say you did. Say you decided to go out. You needed a new pair of jeans. But then you were in the shop and you saw these lovely new shoes. And you thought, oh, I love those. I'm going to buy them. It's an impulse buy. You put them on. You didn't think about it. You just liked them. You bought them. I wouldn't do that. But somebody else might.
Would it be fair to say, and I know what you're going to do out there in YouTube land, you are going to come round to my house and start throwing rotten tomatoes at my windows again, but would it be fair to say that women are more likely to buy something on impulse?
Be careful, Mr. Duncan.
I'm
what
just
you're
saying, no, I'm not saying that's what it is, but is it? Would you say that women, and I'm not giving my opinion here, but I am just saying...
asking for comment.
Because I've seen women buying things in the shop, and quite often they will just take lots of things, especially clothes. And please don't ask me why I am hanging around in a women's clothes shop. Let's just say, sometimes, I have these thoughts at night when I'm lying in bed. I think, maybe Mrs. or Miss Duncan. I like that, maybe. But what about you? Do you ever buy something on impulse when you go shopping, or maybe you see something on the internet and suddenly you decide, I'm going to buy that. Click. And then the next day, you've got it. You do something on impulse.
Armin makes an interesting comment.
Ooh.
If you jump to conclusions, could you say that's an example of impulse behaviour?
Yes.
If you jump to conclusions.
Doing something without thought. You could say that if you make a decision, or if you form an opinion without thinking about it, that can be a type of impulse. Yes, because you are
Yes.
doing something without thinking. So to jump to conclusions, maybe you see someone and maybe they are dressed in a certain way. Maybe they look as if they don't have much money, but they might be a millionaire. So because you don't speak to that person or ask them any questions, you know nothing about them. So instead, you just make your own decision. You jump to your own conclusion. So yes, it is a type of impulse.
Yes, Saturino says impulsive people equals instinctive people. Yes, I know what you mean. You're probably right. If you are the sort of person that acts on impulse, you're probably the type of person who relies on their intuition, I think is what you mean. Or, yes, if you're the type of person who makes decisions based on feelings, then you probably are an impulsive type of person. Maybe there's a tendency there. I'm not a behavioural psychologist.
Here's another one.
So I wouldn't like to comment.
Here are two words that are sometimes confused with each other, Steve. We have the words impulsive and compulsive. Now, they look very similar, and the formulation of the words do appear to be very similar. However, the words are very different indeed. So let's have a look at the words, shall we? We have impulsive, a way of describing a person, or compulsive, which also is a way of describing a person. So first of all, I'm going to have a little clear of my throat. That's better. Compulsive. The word compulsive is to act without self-control. So if you do something without any self-control, you are doing it compulsively. You can't stop yourself.
Yes, you've got a compulsion. So yes, it's slightly different, isn't it, to being impulsive, whereas you suddenly do something without thinking or putting any rational thought into it. But if you're compulsive, it means that you do something and you know you're doing it, but you can't control what you're doing. Isn't that right, Mr. Duncan?
That is right, yes. So compulsive.
Yes, it's not something that you suddenly decide to do.
No.
You've probably been doing it for a long time.
Something that you've done so often that you don't even realise that you are doing it sometimes.
Like eating, you can have compulsive eaters, can't you?
Yes.
Or people that act in a certain way all the time and they find it very difficult to stop doing it that way.
So you have no control. You have no, I like this word, restraint. You have no restraint. To have no restraint means you have no control over the things you are doing.
Similar to compulsive then.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So when we look at the word compulsive, it means to act without self-control. The thing you are doing is almost like a natural thing without you thinking about it.
Partridge makes a lovely analogy or an example of compulsion using a mobile phone. You just keep picking it up. You can't stop yourself doing it. I've got to see what messages I've had from people. You just can't stop doing it.
Yes,
You're acting with compulsion.
That is a good one.
That's a very good one. Thank you for that. So that's lovely.
Yeah.
Obsessive. Obsessive is a bit different to compulsive, I think. If you're obsessed about something, it just means that you can't stop thinking about it.
Yes.
Whereas if you're compulsive, you're probably not really thinking about it. You're just doing it.
That's it.
You just, like the mobile phone example, you just can't stop. I want to put the phone down. I've just got to look. But if you're, I suppose you could be obsessed. Somebody could say, you're obsessed with your phone. You're always on it. So, yeah, maybe you could.
Yes. Well, the obsession is just the thought of doing it. But a compulsion is something you can't stop yourself from actually doing, the actual physical act. Here we have a compulsive eater, cannot control their eating habit. So a person, maybe they are not hungry, so the person isn't hungry, but they still eat. A person who feels that somehow if they eat food, it will give them a certain type of psychological satisfaction. And eventually that becomes a habit. It becomes a compulsion. You actually can't stop yourself from doing it. Even if you don't feel hungry, you will still go into the kitchen, you will open the fridge, and you will start eating food. Because it is the feeling of eating that is giving you the satisfaction, not your appetite being satisfied. It's a very different thing indeed.
Obsessive compulsive disorder, Palmyra mentions, obviously is a real psychological disorder.
Yes, and it's amazing how many people actually suffer from OCD in varying degrees. So some people just have a little bit of a compulsion or an obsession, but others have this in their life, and I suppose that is when you can actually say that person has OCD.
So yes, you can be obsessed and compulsed about something. For example, I've got a friend who, if I go to see him,
Okay.
I won't say who or where they live or anything, before Mr. Duncan starts to worry. When he leaves his house, he shuts the door, but he has to keep going back several times to make sure that he's locked the door, and the front door is shut. When you see that behaviour, it's slightly disturbing, because he will often say to me, "Did I shut my door?" And I said, "Yes, you did. I saw you do it." Nothing to it. But he will still, he's compulsively, he has to go back to check it.
Yes.
And he will rattle his door like that.
Yes.
And then sometimes you'll say to me, "It is locked, isn't it?"
Yes. So
And it's
he
the
will
same-
he will keep going back to make sure that the door is locked. But also there are certain types of obsessive compulsive behaviour where a person has to do things in a certain way each time when they go into their house. Maybe they have to touch a certain thing in the house maybe 3 times, and then they think everything will be fine. Some people become so obsessed they can't leave the house until they've done all of these things in a certain order. Maybe they turn the lights in the house on and off 3 or 4 times because they believe if they don't do it, something bad will happen during the day. So some people have these thoughts. Some people have them a little. Some people have them so much it controls their whole life.
Yes.
So yes, it can be quite a harmful thing. It can really disrupt your life.
Tomek says, "I'm compulsive because I cannot help making snarky comments about Mr. Duncan's live stream." Snarky comment, that just means sort of sarcastic.
Yes.
But in a we know you're joking, in a jokey way.
Yes.
Yes, sarcasm, that's an interesting word. There's sarcasm, and then there's being sardonic.
Well, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but if you're sarcastic, that means you're being unkind when you're saying it. But if you're sardonic, I think that tends to mean that you're not being nasty. You're not intentionally being nasty. Whereas when you're sarcastic, you are intentionally being nasty by what you say.
Okay.
So snarky isn't, it could be taken either way. But yes, thanks for that comment.
Luis Mendez says, "I am a compulsive chip eater."
Ooh.
I suppose when you say chips, do you mean crisps? So crunchy crisps. I am only allowed to have them once a week.
It could be chips, though.
My chef in the kitchen, which means your wife.
Yes, I think Lewis is referring to actual chips.
Ah.
Well, we've made comments about air fryers before being very healthy ways to eat chips.
Yes.
So, just dropping that in as a suggestion to your wife.
A lot of people like eating food, but it can become a problem if you can't stop eating, as we know. And quite often they will walk around the town centre in tight lycra. That's all I'm saying. After last week, that's all I'm saying.
It's very easy to build up OCD habits. Intelligent makes a comment about that. It's very easy to get into a habit. I've nearly done that myself, Mr. Duncan. She makes a comment there about never stepping on cracks in paving stones. If you've got paving slabs, it's, you suddenly you can become obsessed as not to step on the cracks because somehow you think it's unlucky in some way.
That's it.
And these little tendencies can grow if you let them. And I don't know at what point it becomes impossible to control it, but obviously it does. But that's quite a deep subject, which we're just talking about the words and what they mean rather than going into.
So an impulse is something that you can't stop yourself from doing. No, even I'm saying it wrong now. A compulsive eater is a person who can't control their eating. Impulse is just to do something without any thought or preparation. So what I was actually doing there was making sure that we could see the difference between those words. And of course, there is another type of behaviour, a compulsive liar.
That's a good one, Mr. Duncan.
We've all done it. We've all met people. In fact, we have someone we know. We won't say who, but there is a person we know who we think is a person who can't stop lying. They fantasize about their life. And then when they think about their life, they believe those things that they think are actually the reality, and they project them onto other people. So a compulsive liar cannot control their deceit.
There's a good word, Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
That's right. So, and that's an easy one, I would imagine, for some people to get into that type of behaviour because you can get away with it. Because if people trust you and don't check what you're saying, then particularly if they're strangers, you could meet somebody in the street, they don't know you. You could say, "Oh, I'm a famous architect," or you could say that you're something you're not.
Yeah. Well, you could actually go along and say that you appeared in a West End musical. You said, "Oh yes, I was in the production of Cats 10 years ago, and I played Mr. Metismo." By the way, I don't know anything about the musical Cats. Mr. Mephismo, Mr. Mephizo. Is that one of the characters from Cats?
I don't know. All I know is I don't want to watch it.
But so you can. There was a very interesting interview we watched yesterday with Orson Welles, one of my favourite actors. And he was talking about his first ever starring role on the stage was one that he got from lying about his abilities and the things he'd done before. So he had done nothing on stage, but he went along and said, "Hello, I'm Orson Welles and I'm a great actor. I've been in many, many shows and done all sorts of things." And they gave him one of the leading roles. And he said, "One of my first ever acting role on stage, I got from just pretending, lying."
Because, of course, back in the 1950s or 40s, probably when he was young, you didn't have the ability to make all those checks on somebody because the internet didn't exist. So if you probably said you were somebody famous or you were very good at something and you were very confident in the way that you said it,
yes, that's good,
then you could probably get away with it. And
yes.
I think people often lie like that about their abilities because they're either people who are quite insecure and want to make themselves seem better in front of other people, or they're people who are quite secure but have got reasons that they want to do something. They've got an agenda for themselves.
Yes.
Like that one, Orson Welles, he wanted to be on a stage. So let's just lie and say I'm an actor.
Yes.
He knew he was good already. He didn't have to pretend. He didn't have to big himself up. He already thought he was.
Yes, that's
which
it.
He was, of course.
But having the confidence to do that, you see. So sometimes confidence and maybe I don't know, embellishing your life can actually get you things in a positive way. It does happen, and it can happen quite often when you are applying for a job. Maybe you say, oh yes, I worked at somewhere 10 years ago, and you know they're not going to check, but it just makes you seem a bit more qualified for the job.
Well, I mean, we all do that. I mean, for example, I'm in sales.
Okay.
So in the UK, being in a job involved in sales does not carry a particularly high status. If you're in America, being in sales carries a much higher status. I know that. I'm not sure about other parts of Europe or anybody else watching.
Okay.
So if I say to somebody, they say to me, "What's your job?" and I say, "I'm in pharmaceutical sales."
Oh, okay. That's a strange thing to say.
But if I was to say that, for example, that would be seen as a not particularly high status job, even though it's quite well paid, etc., etc., etc. And therefore, it's all right, Mr. Duncan. And therefore, but you know, I might be tempted to say that I'm a manager,
Okay.
or that I'm a director, or something like that.
Okay.
Because sometimes people force their opinions onto you and tell you things about themselves, like
Okay.
you said before, like, "Oh yes, I work in London," and all this sort of thing.
Well, but if they work in London, that's not really an exaggeration.
I know, but they're trying to big themselves up. People are
Yes.
trying to big themselves up.
This is
aren't
what people do sometimes, Steve. They will give their job a glamorous name.
they? Yes.
You see. So it might be a job where you're doing very little, or a simple job, but you might give yourself a very, very big title. But really, your job is quite simple. Anyway, we've got to move on because we are running out of time.
It's an interesting subject there, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, it is a good one. We can always return to it another day, you see, because we are here every Sunday and I'm here every Wednesday. So twice a week you have live streams.
Somebody just asked that. They said they've got to go. When are you next on? That was Partridge.
Yes.
So Wednesday.
Wednesday I am here with you, and then next Sunday we are back again. To steal something, Steve, here's another thing. You see, to steal something suddenly without fear, you might do something on impulse, you see. So you think, oh, there it is. There is something that I want to steal, and it is just there. Ooh. And you steal it. You don't think about the consequences. You just do it because it's there. Maybe you see some money on the ground as you're walking through town. You find some money, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you see some gold jewellery in a shop, and maybe you think, oh, I like that.
Do you? I don't think most people would think that. I think that's
impulsive. You do something. You can steal impulsively.
I don't think people generally do, though. You're
Really?
almost making out as though it's normal behaviour.
I'm not saying.
I'm in a shop. Yeah, I think I'll steal that.
I'm not saying. No, I just said you don't think about the consequences.
I know, but
You know,
you and I would think about the. You know, I wouldn't go into a shop. I wouldn't go into a shop and think, "Oh, I think I'll steal that."
So you would never go into a shop and steal something.
No, of course not. I don't want to be arrested.
Yes,
I don't think people generally go into shops and steal things, Mr. Duncan.
To steal something suddenly without fear is an impulse, but to steal things as a habit, and this is what I'm trying to do here to show the difference.
Right.
You steal something or steal things as a habit is compulsive. So impulse is just a sudden desire to do it, but to steal things as a habit is compulsive. And we know that there are compulsive thieves.
Oh, yes.
They can't stop themselves. They see something and they just have to steal it. They can't stop themselves.
Kleptomaniac, says Christina.
That is
That's
true.
correct.
Yes, a kleptomaniac is a person who cannot stop themselves from stealing things. Well, I hope that was useful to you because I think it's a good subject. I will be honest with you. I like that subject. It is a big subject, but also I think it is a good subject. Steve.
That's my name.
How are we doing on the live chat?
Well, I've been making comments as we've been going along, so the live chat is up to date. I'm up to date with most of the comments that I've been able to repeat.
Okay, good.
But yes, a few people are talking about kleptomania as an example of compulsive behaviour.
Yeah.
This time stealing things.
Mm.
Must be lots of other words with mania on the end. But eating, I think, stealing are common uses of the word. It's not raining, is it, outside, Mr. Duncan?
I don't know.
If it is, I need to go and cover up my logs so that they don't get wet. I'm going to keep a close eye on the monitor.
The weather forecast is rain today, this afternoon, so it's not raining at the moment.
If I suddenly disappear, I will be making a compulsive move.
Okay.
Not a compulsive, impulsive move into the garden to cover up the logs that I chopped up, which you've all seen.
Okay, this is great.
They're drying out nicely.
I'm sure. Here is something I want to test Mr. Steve on now, and this is something that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. When we think about show business, we think about celebrities, we think about people who are famous, maybe from the past, but quite often also from the present. And there are many famous people who are around now, Steve, and I'm wondering if you can recognise some of these people.
I doubt it.
Who are contemporary. So these are contemporary people.
You mean contemporary, up to date, in the now, happening now.
That's it. People who are now popular or famous. And so here is the first one.
Oh, right.
Who is that?
That's Shirley Bassey, but she's not popular now. But
I think she's still popular.
I don't know. Well, she is with me.
Yeah. Whenever she goes into the local supermarket, she always gets lots of people asking for her autograph, and maybe she has to sing a few verses of Goldfinger.
In my opinion, the greatest female singer that has ever lived.
Yeah, so you knew that one.
Yes.
Okay, that's an easy one.
Of course I know. If I didn't recognise Shirley Bassey, then really I'd have to go to the doctor because there'd be something wrong with me.
Here's another one, Steve. Who's this? Now on the live chat, please don't tell Steve what it is.
I won't look at the live. I won't look. I won't look. I've no idea.
Well, try to guess.
I can't even think.
This
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. He was very big in the 1980s.
Yes, well, that's it, you see. Unless they're in the 1980s or 1990s or 70s, I'm probably not going to know who they are.
Yeah. This is a very famous actor, but also before that, he did something else as well.
Oh, was he a sports person?
Yes.
Right. Is it Babe Ruth?
Babe Ruth.
No.
What did Babe Ruth play?
I think it was baseball, I think. Famous. But it was sort of in the 1940s, I think, or 50s.
It's not.
Let me have a look. Who would I know?
Let's just say that he would do it.
Looking at his build, I would say he's probably maybe a footballer. He looks like he's ripped.
You're near.
A bit like somebody who we haven't seen today, whose pictures we saw last week.
Okay.
Whose name I can't remember because that's what my brain's like.
Where's Pedro?
Pedro, that's it. You know what my brain... Well, obviously he's out of my consciousness now since I know he's after women. What's his name? Or is it a man? Is it a man?
Is it a man?
Or is it a woman that's had a sex change and is now a man and then became a famous football player? No. What sport are we talking?
It has nothing to do with sport. I will give you a clue. It is often something that you do almost naked.
Yoga?
It involves rolling on the ground and getting very sweaty with other men.
Oh, you mean like wrestling?
Yes.
Okay. Wrestling. Okay, then.
Or last Friday night.
American?
Yes, he is American.
Yes, it's a while since
He's American.
I rolled around with a sweaty man, yes. Put me out of my misery. I'm going to have a look, Mr. Duncan.
Okay.
At what well, we can see whether J.K. Rowling. I don't think it's J.K. Rowling.
It might be J.K. Rowling. Maybe she's been working out.
Young Steve, says Sergio. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But yes, The Rock. We have The Rock.
The Rock. Yes. Now that's not his real name. You might be surprised to hear that. that his parents didn't say, what should we call him? Let's call him The Rock. You mean The will be his first name?
He does look very solid. Let's put it this way.
Yes.
He looks like, you could hit him with a hammer and it would bounce off.
That does not sound like a good idea, by the way.
He looks solid is the
Please.
word, a solid build.
His real name is Dwayne Johnson. His real name is Dwayne. So you
I've
can.
heard of that.
I think I know the reason why he changed.
Christina got that right.
I'm talking, Steve. I can see the reason why. I can see the reason why he changed his name to The Rock, because his real name is Dwayne.
That's a particularly weedy name for a man.
Yes.
You wouldn't want that build and be called Dwayne.
You know. Also, it's his birthday today.
Right. Happy birthday.
The Rock. I just love that. The Rock is another year older. I think is he 37? I think he's 37.
Don't care.
But he used to be a wrestler. He used to like rolling around on the ground with sweaty men. But now...
Who doesn't?
But now he's in Hollywood making movies. So basically he's doing the same thing. What? So it's his birthday. Do you know who else is having a birthday today? Another sports star.
Well, we've had nobody on the live stream say it's their birthday today.
No.
I don't... A sports star... Is it what country?
Britain.
I don't know. Who could it be? Don't know if I can even name a British sports person. Bobby Charlton.
Bobby Charlton. I'm just
his brother Jack.
I'm just beginning to realise that I should have put pictures of people that were born before 1940.
Whose birthday could it be today? Who's the man that does the crisp adverts?
Oh, Gary Lineker.
Is it his birthday today?
No.
Is it the? Is he a tennis player?
No, you're in the right area before.
Football.
But yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I don't even know.
Just name a very popular, famous football player.
Yeah, Bobby Charlton
from this country, big one
from this century.
Yes, I will give you.
Let's have a look. I can picture people, but their names aren't coming into my head. Is it somebody who was made famous recently?
Okay, Steve.
Go on, just tell me.
Thank you, Jimmy and Sora. David Beckham.
Ah, right.
It's David Beckham's.
I was wondering how long it'd take you to get that.
David Beckham, and also The Rock.
Okay, right.
Of course, David Beckham is often called Bex. So it's Bex and also The Rock.
There's a beer called Bex. Jimmy from Hong Kong says it's also Jimmy White's, and he's a snooker player.
He is.
Also, his birthday today.
Yes. I'm not sure if he still plays. Does Jimmy White still play? I think my favourite snooker player must be Higgins. Hurricane Higgins. He was such a character. Sadly no longer with us, but he was one of the most amazing snooker players. I used to watch snooker when I was a kid. I did. So, here's another one, Steve. Another person. Let's get rid of The Rock. Bye-bye, Rock.
I won't look at the live stream.
Happy birthday to The Rock. Here is another one, Steve. What?
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen that person before in my life.
I will give you. He's a hunk.
Well, I can tell that.
He's a Hollywood movie star. He is actually an A-lister. A-list celebrity. So everyone under the age of 30 will instantly know who this is.
Have I seen any? So he's a film actor?
Yes, he's been in one or two films. One or two. He was in I think he was in the terrible remake of Ghostbusters.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm out of touch.
No.
But I am out of touch.
If
you're out of touch, it means that you're not really connected with what's going on.
Thank you, Hailey Kwang. Thank you very much, Hailey Kwang.
Present.
Hailey Kwang, yes.
Chris Helmsworth. I've never heard of him.
Chris Hemsworth.
Never.
Yes. He's a very well-known actor. He's in many, quite often you will find him in romantic comedies, normally with Jennifer Aniston.
Vitas, yes.
Somewhere nearby.
He does look a bit like Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Yes.
He looks also a little bit like Simon Cowell, if Simon Cowell looked normal.
Or younger.
Yes, I think so. But that's a good... Yeah, shall we have one more? Let's have one more, Steve.
And oh, right, okay. It's Toya Wilcox.
No.
Right, okay. No, it could have been Toya Wilcox.
Very contemporary.
Glad to see that you've got a woman in there this time, Mr. Duncan. I have no idea. I don't know who she is.
You don't know who that is?
No.
That is one of the biggest stars in the world.
Well, I never watched... I've just... Singer... I'm guessing singer.
Yes, good. Yes, you're on the right track.
Because, you know...
Just keep thinking. Unusual person. Very quirky.
Bjork?
No, Bjork.
Yes.
It's not 2001.
Well, Bjork is eccentric.
Yes, but not contemporary.
Not contemporary. I don't know is the answer.
Well, everyone's telling you on there.
Well, I'll have a look then. Lady Gaga. Oh, I've heard of Lady Gaga. I didn't know that's what she looked like.
Yes. Well, that is one of her looks, because, of course, a lot of people see Lady Gaga in different ways.
This isn't doing much for my reputation, by the way, Mr. Duncan, because now people are thinking Mr. Steve is completely out of touch.
This is true.
With what's going on in the real world. He's stuck in 1970. I'm stuck in 1976 with Shirley Bassey live in the Royal Albert Hall wearing that famous green dress.
Here's the last one, and it's two people.
Right, okay, right, two people. Now, right, good, yes.
Right, now.
Now.
Right.
Now, let's just see how long it takes other people to come up with the answers.
I'm going to give you a clue.
The one on the left, I'm guessing, was he in Flashdance? And was it John Travolta on the left?
John Travolta? No, it's not John Travolta.
Okay.
But I will give you a clue. They both have the same name.
If I could think of one of the names, I could get the other one, couldn't I?
One of them used to write for The Simpsons in the early episodes of The Simpsons.
Matt Groening or Groening?
No, he's the guy who invented it.
Okay. Well, at least I got something nearly connected with them, a name.
Very good.
So they're not... Are they famous? Does everybody know who they are?
They are big.
Is it just me that doesn't know?
They are very big, especially late at night.
Well, yes, I'm quite often big late at night, but let's not go there. I'm joking. Even though you've told me they're connected with The Simpsons, I still don't know who they are.
Well, one of them is.
So who's the one on the right? If I say on the right, do people watching us now, is right and left the same to them?
They have, well, yes.
In terms of,
Oh my!
Well, I don't know. It might be reversed by the time it gets into people's homes.
If you look at the screen, well, it's that way round. It's the screen that you're looking at.
That's fine then.
So that's on the left, and that's on the right.
Right. Let's see what.
But
they have.
They have the same name.
Tom Cruise. No.
No.
So we have Tom Cruise. We have the Jimmies.
Yes, it's the Jimmies. They are both called Jimmy. And they are both chat show hosts. Isn't that strange?
Well, I've heard of Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes, Jimmy Kimmel.
Didn't know that's what he looked like.
Yeah, and Jimmy Fallon. So this guy is Jimmy Kimmel. And this guy is Jimmy Fallon, who used to write for The Simpsons. He was actually a writer in the early days of The Simpsons. So they are both chat show hosts. Very big, very famous, very wealthy.
Something I'm not good at is pub quizzes. If you ever want me or think that you might have me on a team in a pub quiz, forget it. Unless it's to do with science, I might tend to get a higher proportion of those questions right. But I wouldn't get anything to do with anything where you have to come up with somebody's name.
No, okay.
Forget it.
Or any general knowledge.
No, I'm quite good at general knowledge, but, average, I would say. But, yeah.
Okay. My favourite chat show host, by the way, is David Letterman. I always feel a bit sad when
You're a bit out of touch with that, Mr. Duncan.
I was just about... just let me get to the end of the sentence again, Steve. I always feel a bit sad when he retired and stopped doing his late night chat show, which was what I was going to say next. So anyway, at least we know it is official that Mr. Steve is now completely out of touch with everything.
I do know Graham Norton, Nitram, yes. Too much new information today, says Sergio. It has been a packed programme.
Yeah, we've had a lot, and we haven't even done the sentence game yet.
That's coming up.
Yeah, the sentence game is coming up. It's a packed one. I think this might be the best show that we've ever done. I think so. I think this might be in the history of us and YouTube and the human race. This might be the best one that we've ever done. The sentence game is here. No, please do not mention James Corden. You are not allowed. It is forbidden to mention James Corden. You are not allowed to mention him. I'm sorry. You know I don't like James Corden. I don't like him.
Nitram's come up with a good phrase there, roasting. Nitram says, I've been roasted.
Yes.
That's a good phrase.
If you roast someone, you make fun of that person, quite often using insults and also sarcasm.
Yes.
As you mentioned earlier. So roast. Yes, a roast. You roast that person. You criticise them. You make hurtful or obscene jokes about that person.
Well, we want to push people a bit on these. We want to include more and more content. We want your brains to be melting down by the time you come off this live stream every week.
I think your brain is already melted.
It happened a long time ago.
It's like an old candle. Here we go then. It's the sentence game, everyone. Yes, this is the game that everyone loves, by the way. Everyone loves this game so much.
Do they? Let's see if they do. Does everybody love the sentence game?
Put your hands up.
Don't tell us.
Put your hands up.
We know certain people don't like flags of the world.
Yes. Well,
we've had many comments.
You can't please everyone. I mean, there are people who don't like me, and there are people who don't like you. Admittedly, there are more people who don't like you than
Who
me.
couldn't like me? I'm only joking. That's very egotistical.
Would you like the list? There is a big list.
I know I don't like lots of people.
I think your mother is at the top.
That's not very fair. She's had a new pair of glasses.
Your mother's new glasses. She looks like a scientist. All she needs is a...
You haven't seen them.
I have?
You haven't?
I have. Well, you told me what they look like.
I didn't say that. And we've got to be very careful because my sister chose them for my mother.
But you told me what they what they look like.
I didn't say they look like scientist glasses.
No, but I imagine they do.
All I can say is they look a lot better than the last ones.
Okay. But in my imagination, it's not reality, Steve. We're not... there's a difference.
People are going quick. Let's get on with the sentence game.
Imagination. In my imagination, I imagine that Mr. Steve's mum now looks like a female scientist.
Before long, there'll only be Tomek left and he'll get all the answers right.
With her new glasses. See, Vittorio likes us, but doesn't like Flags of the World. You see?
That's at least two people that said that today. Maybe we need to give it a rest.
But I think, no, stop it. The Flags of the World allow me to have a little break.
Perhaps we need something else in the break.
Here we go then. Flags of the Flags of the World are done for today. So now we have the sentence game. This is a very simple game. We will kick off right now with the first one. Oh. So this is a sentence. There are some missing words. All you have to do is tell me what the missing words are.
It's raining, Mr. Duncan. It's raining.
What are the missing words?
It's raining.
Okay.
I'll be back in 2 minutes. Can you cope with the sentence game without me for 2 minutes?
I might not even be on air.
I'm acting impulsively.
I'm not sure if Steve is acting impulsively or repulsively. Ah, repulsive. You see, there's another word. If something is repulsive, it means you don't like it. It puts you off. It makes you feel unhappy when you see it. Some people say that I am repulsive. How dare you? How dare you indeed? Hello, Maura. Oh, it looks as if we have... It looks as if we have quite a few answers coming through already. Oh. Zudzika says, I love the sentence game, but I prefer Spot the White Van. We might bring Spot the White Van back. We might bring it back one day. Who knows? We might. We might not. I don't know, Lily. I don't know. Thank you for your answers. Yes, we have quite a few answers coming through. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you also, Jimmy. Jimmy, you are very near to the answer. What are you doing, Steve? It sounds like you're making...
You've moved me.
Are you making a sexual phone call? With your heavy breathing.
You've moved me.
Yes.
Get over.
Well, I had to fill in. The space where you were standing, you see.
Did you watch me when I went out there? No?
No, we did not.
I'm all wet. Look, I'm covered in drops of water.
Okay, this is good.
I had to...
Something for over and something before being something.
Ah.
Beatrice, Vitas, Victoria says Mura is right as usual. Okay, then yes, we have quite a few correct answers. We are going to get through these very quickly because of the time limit. We only have 5 minutes before we have to say goodbye.
Zutika said she loves the sentence game but prefers Spot the White Van. Haven't done that for a while.
No, I did actually read that out.
Please, no more flags, says Anna. I think we're getting the message here.
Well, that's only 3 people out of 900,000.
Looks like Maura got it right.
Okay, good. Well, congratulations. Okay, here's the answer. It's coming up right now, Steve. Here comes Mr. Cockerel. Cock-a-doodle-doo. The answer is... I hope you're ready for this, because the answer is coming up. Are you ready for the answer?
Yes,
okay.
I'm waiting.
I'm trying to find it. Bing! Oh, he had to queue, which is a word that many people misspell. He had to queue. Q-U-E. U-E is how you spell queue. He had to queue for over an hour before being admitted. So if you admit something or someone, it means you are allowing that person to pass, to come in. You are welcoming them to a place or maybe a group. And of course, admit can also mean own up. If you are saying that you are responsible for doing something, you admit.
He had to queue for an hour before being admitted into the nightclub.
Can you think of another place?
What?
Where you might be admitted?
Anywhere at the moment, because you have to queue to get into shops, so it could be the doctor's surgery.
Quite often we use this for a hospital.
A hospital.
So quite often a person who goes into hospital will be admitted if they are kept in.
Allowed into the hospital.
Yes.
That's it.
Good.
That's a good one. Somebody else said approved. Yeah, approved is an 8-letter word that fits at the end.
Yes.
But would you queue for an hour before being approved?
Yes, well,
Could be, depending on what it is.
You could if you are being allowed to do something. Yes, no, I think that's quite good. Yeah.
Accepted, says Jimmy from Hong
Yeah.
Kong. 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Before being accepted.
Yes.
Yes.
That's good.
Accepted for a place to get in somewhere.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Here comes another one, Steve.
Right,
We
okay.
need to speed along at the speed of light. Oh, here's a famous phrase.
A famous phrase.
This is a well-known phrase. You might have to scratch your heads a little bit. But this is a very well-known phrase, and this is just for Mr. Steve. This is also a piece of advice for Steve as well.
I've been around in the world long enough. I shouldn't need advice anymore. I should know it all at my advanced
You
age.
should.
I should do, but I don't.
Yes.
Palmyra, going back to the last one, before being admitted into the Zoom conference.
Yes, that's it. That's
Very,
yes.
very on point.
So sometimes you have to be allowed to do something before you are admitted, yes, or approved. So these are all very good words. Well done.
The Zoom conference, we're all doing those, aren't we?
Here is another one then, Steve. Mr. Stephen. This is a well-known phrase. It's also a phrase that was invented by a very famous writer.
Oh, well, I can't get it, Mr. Duncan.
Oh,
Is the... Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I thought I had it then, but
Yeah.
no. Obviously, I've probably never taken the words of wisdom that are incorporated into this phrase.
Yes, this is a well-known phrase connected to, I suppose you might connect it to telling a story or maybe a joke, and this is what this particular phrase refers to.
Well, brilliance is more than 7 letters, unfortunately.
I thought this would go. I really did. I thought this would go very quickly.
Are the last 2 words right in there, Mr. Duncan?
The nearly.
So something's right in there, Tomek.
Nearly.
You're close, I think.
You are on the right line.
Track.
You are going in the right direction with your guess.
Mm.
We will only give this another few seconds. It's just another few seconds. Hello, man from Brazil. Man from Brazil. Hello, man from Brazil. Who are you? I thought for a moment maybe it was Pedro Belmont, but it isn't.
Maybe it is.
Because the picture,
In disguise.
the picture is definitely, that does not look like Pedro.
No. But then Pedro's always changing his appearance.
But hello, man from Brazil.
Thank you for your suggestion. I don't think... Yes. Obviously, Mr. Duncan thought that would go very quickly.
Yes, I really thought this would go quickly. This is a famous phrase that was coined or created by a very famous writer.
Is that one of the words?
No.
So far, I think Tomek's got 1 word right, but shall we give people a clue? Is the last...
Well, I have.
Oh, right.
I literally have just given enough clues to sink a ship. So, any more? Okay, I will give you the answer.
Right.
But you will learn a new phrase. So even if you don't know the answer, you will still learn something new. The answer is bing.
Well.
A well-known phrase coined by William Shakespeare. Brevity is the soul of wit.
Well, I didn't know that phrase, Mr. Duncan, so if
Yes.
I don't know it,
Wow.
it's not worth knowing. Tomek was the only person to get one of the words right.
Yes.
Letters, words,
Yes.
which is wit.
Yes.
So,
Brevity.
yes.
is
You
the
get
soul.
1 out of 3.
Brevity is the soul of wit. So when something is being described as needing brevity, it needs to be done quickly. It needs to be done quickly in a short period of time. And in this situation, we are talking about maybe a humorous story or a joke. So if you are trying to convey something that is funny, you have to do it very quickly with just the right amount of words. Not too many. You must not talk for too long because you are trying to make a point. And that is quite often why we use this particular phrase.
So brevity means what again, Mr. Duncan?
Quick, fast, at a fast pace or in a short period of time. Brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes, so meaning that if you take too long to tell a joke, for example, it won't be funny anymore. You've
That's
got to do
it.
it quickly,
Yes. So
maybe even impulsively.
this is why I said it's very good advice for Mr. Steve.
Well, I'm quite quick with my wit.
Yes, but sometimes when you're telling a story or trying to get to the point, sometimes it takes a very long time.
But maybe I'm not trying to be witty in those instances, Mr. Duncan.
That's true.
Right, so there we go. If you want to tell a joke, make sure you do it quickly.
Yes, with few words, but make sure those words are funny. Make sure you are making your point quickly with brevity. Brevity.
It's one of your favourite words, isn't it, Mr. Duncan?
It's great. Brevity is the soul of wit. Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare.
And I thought I was out of date.
Well,
You're using phrases from the 17th century?
well,
16th century? I always get the centuries mixed up. I don't know when William Shakespeare was alive.
this, you do realise that many of the things we say these days are actually from William Shakespeare. He actually invented the phrases.
So he says brevity means quickness. Is that right?
Quickness, yes.
Yes.
To do something quickly without taking too much of your valuable time.
I acted with brevity when I bought a new pair of shoes.
Yes. I think that's it. I think that's all we've got time for, Steve. I can't believe it.
Oh, it's 10 past, nearly 10 past.
Yes. Well,
4.
6 minutes past 4.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I can't
We've
believe
had more people joining.
Yes.
Which is lovely, but we're going now.
The rain has stopped.
But you can see Mr. Duncan again on Wednesday and me again on Sunday.
Yes.
Now, if you don't want to see me, then just go on Wednesday to see Mr. Duncan.
Yes. Or, of course, you can just put your hand over the screen.
One more, says Tomek.
You can put your hand over the screen and then you won't be able to see Steve. You'll only be able to see me like that. You see.
Why don't you... Let's be impulsive. Let's do one more.
Well, that's not really impulsive.
It is.
Because we were doing it anyway.
Well, we weren't because we were going.
No,
So we've now changed our mind.
It would be impulsive if we weren't playing the sentence game and then suddenly we did.
I know, but we're going. Yeah, but we said we were going to go, and then suddenly we're going to change our mind. We're going to put one more in just to please Tomek.
Tomek.
We're only going to take, but you've got to get it right. You've got 2 minutes. We're going to do a countdown.
No. Let's not do that.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, then.
Victoria wants it as well. Jimmy wants it as well. Oh well, we have to bow to popular requests. You know.
Here we go then. Here's one more then. One more. Actually, it's very interesting that this actually connects with what Tomek was just doing. How strange. I can't quite believe that. Okay,
Sergio
then.
doesn't like the sentence game.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, Sergio, I'm afraid we are playing it one more time before we go. I do not want to go there. Please don't something. So this is quite clever because this is actually what Tomek was just doing to us.
we've 1 minute to get it right.
1 minute.
1 minute.
You have 1 minute. We are counting down now.
60. 59.
Okay, Steve.
58.
Let's not do this.
57. 56.
54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 19, 18, 17.
Oh! Well, I think we've got it.
Have we? Good.
I think we've got it in less than 30 seconds.
It looks like Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy from Hong Kong. Yes, well done. I think that almost deserves a round of applause. I think so. That's enough.
But Victoria also got it. And I think when they all come quickly, I think it means everyone's got it together. Please don't. Yes, Sura's got it as well.
Okay.
There we go. Tomek's got it. Everyone's got it. I think you're hungry, aren't you, Mr. Duncan?
I am hungry. I also want to watch Columbo because today they are showing not one but 2 episodes with William Shatner.
Our favourite episodes.
So I do like watching Columbo when certain people are in the show. And today they are showing both episodes with William Shatner. In one of them, he plays a right-wing talk show host. I'm not joking. And in the other one, he plays an actor who plays a TV detective, which I think is brilliant when you think about it.
Let's end on a high. Let's end on the fact that Jimmy was first.
Jimmy?
With the sentence game.
Yes.
But lots of other people also got it at
That's it.
more or less the same time.
Almost.
Including...
the answer is bing.
There we go.
I do not want to go there. Please don't twist my arm. And that's very strange because Tomek was actually trying to twist our arms
Yes.
by telling us to do another sentence game. So I didn't plan that. I didn't arrange that, you see, with Tomek.
You should have said you did.
Yes.
That's an interesting phrase because if you were to twist somebody's arm behind their back, not like that, you go this
But
way.
you can't
Mr.
do it that
Duncan.
way. Yeah, but you can't
go
see
this
it.
way. I know, but anyway.
You can't.
Then it's obviously painful and you could be forced into doing something that you otherwise didn't want to do.
But it's not physical.
But that phrase doesn't mean you're actually going to do it.
No.
It means actually you do want to be persuaded,
Yes,
doesn't it?
it's figurative.
It's figurative. Please
So-
don't twist my arm. You're going reluctantly
Yeah.
to do something.
That's it. So if you twist someone's arm, it means you persuade them to do something that they don't really want to do. That's it. It's time to go.
Bye-bye, everyone. I'm going to put a tea cake on for Mr. Duncan, and I'll have one as well. I'll just take all the sultanas and the raisins out because you don't like them.
Yes.
But I'll put double the amount of butter on because that's what Mr. Duncan likes.
Butter.
Yes.
Real butter.
Lovely to be here. Lovely to enjoy conversation with you, and see you all again next week.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. There he goes. Mr. Steve has left the building. Well, he's left the studio. He's now gone into the kitchen because it's time to eat a tea cake, which of course means that it's almost time to say goodbye. That's not very nice, is it? Thank you very much for your company today. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed it, please give me a thumb, a lovely like. Do it now. Do it now. Give me a like to show you care. Beep, 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 beep. By the way, if you didn't like it, don't worry, there is lots of other stuff, other things you can watch on YouTube. That is the beauty of this website. I think so. Thanks for your company. Thank you very much for watching. We've had a busy day today. I will see you on Wednesday. Yes, I am back on Wednesday from 2 p.m. UK time. That is when I am with you next. Thank you very much for your company today. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. So we are going to have something to eat. I hope you have a nice day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Whatever you are doing, please do it with a smile on your face and a spring in your step. And I will see you on Wednesday from 2 p.m. UK time. And of course, until the next time we meet here, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Yeah, yes, almost. It's almost time to go. I'm afraid so. Ta-ta for now.